3 of our year-end PeakDay podcast series, we turn to Catholic authors whose writing speaks directly to the lives of women, mothers, and families seeking to live with intention and faith. Through their words and witness, these authors explore prayer, identity, suffering, and womanhood, offering insight shaped by both personal experience and deep trust in God's design. Author Megan Madden is wife to a theologian, a mother of 7, and author of the books Mary, Teach Me to Be Your Daughter, and Through Storms and Still Waters with Ascension Press. Megan and her family currently live in England, where she is homeschooling her children. Megan has a passion for writing and speaking on authentic femininity and virtuous womanhood. By that, you mean your online ministry, A Mother's Lace, and then writing and speaking and blogging. So let's start with maybe your online ministry. It's called A Mother's Lace. And what's its focus and what was the genesis of that ministry?
So it started in Poland. I have a very wonderful priest friend there who was my spiritual director for a long time, and very, very dear girlfriends who are just very, very holy. And there came a point I had been offline, just no social media or anything for over 10 years. Just made that decision early on in my late teen years, and I felt really called with the prompting of this particular priest and a girlfriend of mine saying, I think you should go on Instagram and share what you've been learning about femininity and all these thoughts that you've been sharing. And especially just being in this shrine with John Paul II and really reading his writings and learning a lot from him and being so inspired. And so I named it, I started this blog in 2020. I went public and I had no intention of it really being anything than just a simple sharing of femininity with whoever was interested, so no desire for growth or anything like that. Just a real simplicity. And I named it A Mother's Lace after Saint Zélie, because I have a huge devotion to Saint Zélie Martin, Saint Therese's mother, and she was a lace maker. So that was her work. And so I kind of deemed this as my little work.
You found that a focus on femininity and virtuous womanhood was kind of your niche. And when you were in Poland, is that when you really studied writings of others like St. Edith Stein and John Paul II? And how did that help you further focus on the complementarity of man and woman and on the question of what it means to be a woman?
Sure. So it actually started at the ITI when I started taking graduate courses in marriage and family. And I wanted to write my thesis on the complementary nature of man and woman. So I was already taking classes in all of these topics. I was reading Thomas Aquinas, John Paul II. I think Love and Responsibility, when he was Wojtyła, that was pivotal for me in understanding things. And I just remember thinking, why did I never know this? I never knew these things. And it's such a simple thing of about what it means to be a woman. I just had never known it. And so I was so intrigued. And I kept getting pregnant. And so I had to stop my graduate courses. I think Josh and I figured out, my husband, that I'm 3 classes away from a master's, but just never had the chance to finish. Maybe in the future. But what I did was I never stopped reading, and it spiraled into Alice von Hildebrand, Edith Stein, Gertrude von Lefort, Teresa of Avila, these giants in Catholic womanhood and philosophy. And and that led in Poland to a deeper study, talking to my spiritual director about it. And then that's when it led to a more public ministry.
Author Shannon Wendt is a wife, homeschooling mom of 9, and founder of Choose Life and the Way of the Rosary community. Shannon's creativity and faith journey have inspired thousands to pray the Rosary daily. We talked about her new book, The Way of the Rosary, how a season of suffering shaped her prayer life and her business, and the grace that can be found when we invite God and the Blessed Virgin Mary into the mystery of our own lives. You just described the rosary a little bit ago as a way of life. So, for somebody who may see it only like as a repetitive prayer, what does it mean to live the rosary? And how has that transformed your spiritual life and your family life?
Yeah. I think it really starts with just beginning. And in the beginning, if we are just kind of repeating the prayers just to check the box and to get it done, I still think that that is a good place to start. I think the very first thing to know about the rosary is that it's important to just begin. Contemplation and understanding, hearing the Lord's voice comes with time. It comes with spending time together. It comes with persistence, and it isn't, it's something that we all wish we could just like flip a switch, and that every prayer we have, every moment that we have with the Lord would be beautiful and wonderful, and you know bells and incense and all of that. And the reality is that we just have to start somewhere. And so that's the beginning. Like, just do it. Just begin. Pray it messy, pray it distracted, whatever it looks like, just begin. Because the reality is the only ineffective rosary is the one that we never start. And so when we have these big ideas about what it should be, and we let that kind of deter us from praying something that we feel like is less than, then we never get to where the Lord is really calling us. And so, first of all, just begin. And then pray in those quiet moments. We can, as Catholics, kind of think about the rosary, or really anything, a lot of aspects of our faith. We really, as Catholics, I think, struggle with perfectionism. And really, with the rosary, there are so many different ways to pray, and we can even kind of disqualify this little by little rosary throughout the day, because we could think, oh, it's better to contemplate for 20 minutes and to really, and yes, like having 20 solid minutes to pray, yeah, it would be great and it's beautiful, and you should try to do that sometimes. But the reality is that is hard every day. But when we can pray in those quiet moments, it's not a less than perfect rosary. What really begins to happen is that we are surrounding every task that we're engaged in, every relationship, every conversation, every problem that we have, every joy, every suffering, every single aspect of our day, we're surrounding with the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And that way, we really get to understand and relate the mysteries to our own lives. We begin to kind of recognize bits and pieces of that in the things that we are going through, and in that, we're really walking with Our Lady. We're letting her into our life. We're showing her through all the moments, all the ups and downs, and the ins and outs. And she really can become a true mother to us when we pray in that kind of little by little way throughout every single day.
Shannon Whitmore is a wife, homeschooling mom, writer, and speaker who is passionate about helping women see themselves as God sees them: beautiful, beloved, and made in His image. She's the author of See Yourself as God Does: Understanding Holy Body Image Through Catholic Scripture. Shannon writes with honesty about her own experience with an eating disorder and the healing process, showing how God can redeem our deepest wounds and use them to reveal His love. So you were having a lot of conversations with these young girls about body image and their view of themselves. So just in general, what would be like one or two things that you hope a woman or a young girl might learn from reading "See Yourself as God Does"?
So one that I think it's one of those things that nobody wants to talk about, and I think because we try to keep it private and quiet and we're ashamed of it, we don't realize just how prevalent of a problem it is among women, girls, young women, older women. just since writing it, it's been amazing how many people who I've known for years have turned around and said, "Oh yeah, I've struggled with an eating disorder. I struggle with body image. I know exactly what you're talking about." And the whole time that I was struggling, I thought I was alone. And so one of the things that just coming out, writing it, and then also having other people read it is just the sense that you're not alone and that there are lots of other women who are struggling with the same things and are, if we share it, it suddenly becomes less of a burden. And then just also the idea that, healing it's a multi-step process. And even for those of us who have acknowledged the fact that we've struggled and that we feel for the most part that we're on the other side of the struggle, that, there's still hard days and bad days. But the important thing is that we wake up every day and we treat it as a new one and a new opportunity to seek God's grace.
So let's talk about your book. It's a beautiful book. You've divided it into three parts. You are beautiful, you are broken, and you are blessed. Why that structure? Why was that so important? And it kind of mirrors the story of creation and the fall and redemption. So talk about that a little bit.
So some of it came from John Paul II's Theology of the Body, and just when I was reflecting on things and working kind of through the overall outline, just the idea of creation and then fall and redemption just kept coming back. And just because it's so, it's a story of humanity. It's a story of each of us that, all of us we're born, and then we, at some point, we're broken in some way. And then we have to allow God in to bless us and to heal that and to make something beautiful out of it. And so, it's a story of mankind in general, but I feel like it's everybody's story too. Just the idea that we're born innocent, and then something in the world breaks us, sin and evil and the devil and our own sinfulness. And then everybody has that time in their life where they hope you turn to God and you say, "This is what I am. This is what you made me. This is what I made of myself, and now here, can you fix it?" Um, you know, so just like the idea that like that trajectory is all of our trajectories, and all of us, God doesn't want to leave us in the brokenness. He wants to be able to pick us up and heal us and fix us and make something beautiful out of it.
Together, these conversations reveal how storytelling, theology, and lived faith can illuminate the path toward healing, hope, and deeper relationship with Christ. In the final episode of our year-end series, we'll hear from couples practicing natural family planning, sharing how this way of life is lived out day by day within their marriages and families. Thanks for watching.